Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I noticed that there's a lot of bad news going on, circulating. So I wanted to share some good news with you guys. I have a website here that has 25 good things going on in the world. Now, the only kind of downside, it's not really a downside, but this article is a little bit old. It's like 2 to 3 years old. But if anything, that's good because that means these good things have been continuing until now. Regardless, I just read through a couple of them and they're pretty cool things. So sit back, relax. Today I'm doing this video soft spoken, lightly speaking. Just for today's video, I rarely do this, so I feel like this is a good time to do it. So get my handy dandy iPad. Okay, so number one, the Flynn effect. Humans appear to be gaining about 3 points of IQ per decade, and nobody is exactly sure why. Regardless of whatever you think of IQ measures, we're getting better and better at it globally. So it's just saying humans appear to be gaining about 3 points of IQ, which is really good. But now you have to decide, are they just getting better at measuring it, or are we actually getting more IQ? I think it might be a little bit of both, but it's a positive news. Number two, life expectancy is growing both globally and within the United States to an all-time high. So the age limit of what people usually live to is going up globally, and the United States, it's at an all-time high. Number three, cancer death rates are down 20% in the last 2 decades and steadily decreasing. This is one of those things I'm talking about where even though this article is old, this stuff is cool because the cancer death rates are down below 20 over the last 2 decades and are steadily decreasing. That means as time passed after this, they kept on decreasing. So who knows, by now it might be down 25%. But cancer rates going down is always good news. Number four, globally, people have been getting significantly healthier and more prosperous over the past 200 years in a pretty consistent manner. That's always good to hear. This is an interesting one. The world has globally become less violent over years, decades, centuries, and millennia. And a person in the Western world today is probably least likely to be a victim of violence of any kind compared to any society in history. Yes, there are lots of anecdotal cases where it has gotten worse, and the trend isn't monotonically downward, but it's still a quite significant and consistent downward trend, with plenty of understanding on reasons why. Many people I talk to think we live in a time of violence, mostly due to news reports and ignorance of history. So pretty much what this is saying is right now it is the safest time, but because of a lot of things that we are told and see, it's hard to look at it that way. Number six, India still has about 18,000 unelectrified villages. Current Prime Minister of India launched a campaign in August 2015 to bring this to zero within 1,000 days. Since then, 6,000 villages have already been electrified, and the stories coming from the villages are just as heartwarming. Akon is doing the same thing in Africa as well. I actually heard about Akon doing this in Africa a long time ago, and I just thought it was really cool. that they're doing that, adding light to these dark villages, um, just makes it a more safe and livable, comfortable environment for these people. And I think it's a great thing because we really underappreciate the simple pleasures here. At least I do in Florida. Number 7. Netherlands has had to close some prisons and will continue to close more in the coming years because of the lack of people to lock up due to declining crime rate. Wow, what a great problem to have. And it's not even a problem. It's like, hey, we have all these prisons, but our people aren't doing anything wrong. So we gotta close some of these prisons. That's great. Way to go, Netherlands. Number 8. Child mortality is currently the lowest in human history. That's great. So children passing away is at its lowest right now, which is great. Number 9. We are very, very close to having clinical trials start for a treatment that is purported to cure radiation poisoning. Now, that may not sound like such a huge deal, especially given that Fallout is a work of fiction. As it happens, though, radiation sickness is still a very real concern for many industries. Mining, manufacturing, power generation, and medicine being just a few, and a means of reducing or eliminating its lethality would be an enormous boon. If this proposed medicine does what it's hoped to do, then it could revolutionize the way that we approach a number of different endeavors and save literally millions of lives. Not to mention a cure like that would solve one of the major problems with long-term spaceflight. Wow, that is very cool. I gotta look up and see how they're doing with that. Number 10. Nigeria had a very successful democratic general election in 2015. It was universally called out as peaceful and credible. Nigeria obviously has its problems, but this was a rare example of an election that didn't become a total farce in West Africa. There you go. Lead by example. That's what we like to hear. But yeah, leave a like if you guys are enjoying these positive stories so far. I just think it's always good to look at the good side of things too. Number 11. The private sector has been adding jobs for 72 consecutive months. Wow. That's great. Number 12. Despite the recent demagoguery, illegal immigration is down in the U.S., and Mexicans are in fact returning to Mexico in greater numbers than those arriving. Number 13. Teen pregnancies have hit a record low in both the US and the UK. That's great. Number 14. El Nino conditions have provided a March miracle, significantly boosting California's water reservoirs. Number 15. Extreme poverty in the world is the lowest in history at less than 10%. Number 16. The exponential overpopulation everyone talks about is no longer happening. Birth rates are holding steady, and demographicians, I never said that word before, are calculating that in about a generation, the population will stabilize at 10 billion people. It's still a huge number, but not unmanageable. Projections are that by 2100, global population will be in a slow, steady decline. At some point, our descendants will be debating what should be optimum minimum population and how to make it happen. I have no comment on that. There hasn't been a single fatal crash on a US based commercial passenger airline this entire decade, the 2010s, which is the longest. What does it say? The longest in history or something like that? Which is the longest safety streak since the industry began. Wow. The ozone layer is repairing itself. The main reason behind its recovery is the fact that certain chemicals, such as those used in aerosol cans, were phased out in the 1980s. Number 19. Mother to child HIV transmission has been reduced to zero in Cuba as of 2015. They are the first country to do so since the emergence of HIV. Wow. Number 20. Polio is one of several diseases which has almost entirely been eradicated, largely due to the work of the Gates Foundation along with several other charities and the WHO. In the next decade, we're going to wipe out several diseases and be well on the way to eliminating malaria, which has killed more humans in the history of the world than anything else, even old age. Wow. Number 21. More and more countries and private entities are coming forward to donate unsold food to the needy. Just a few days ago, Italy changed law to make all supermarkets give unsold food to needy, and Starbucks has pledged to donate all of its unsold food to America's needy. That's amazing. I remember when I worked for Panera Bread like 7, 8 years ago. They would bag up all of the bagels, muffins, cookies, everything that wasn't sold, and they would put it in a huge bag. And then we would donate it. There'd be people who come to pick it up. Number 22. Former President Jimmy Carter, with the help of his Carter Foundation, has helped to nearly eliminate the guinea worm parasite worldwide. It's a horrible parasite which enters the body as larvae through unclean drinking water, grows to full size, and burrows and exits through the skin. It's not life-threatening by itself, but it is said to feel like a burning needle several feet long being pulled slowly out of your skin, and more serious infections can occur. The life cycle is completed when the guinea worm makes its way back to water, usually when victims try to quench the pain in a local water source. Okay, that one did not have to be read. That is disgusting. We have a vaccine for dengue fever, which has passed its first human trial with a 100% success rate. Very small sample size, but very promising results. You know, any type of vaccine that you know for a fact is going to work, it's definitely worth it. And this webpage is, I think it's because this iPad is so old, I can't even keep up just with keeping this text up here. But then again, there's like 50 ads on this website. Alright. 24. The amount of energy generated from renewable sources is increasing. In Germany, the amount of energy generated from renewable sources has increased from 6% in 2000 to 32.6% in 2015, which is a lot. The production of solar energy is growing worldwide at 25% per year. In 2013, the world added 143 gigawatts of renewable electricity capacity, compared with 141 gigawatts in new plants that burn fossil fuels. Number 25. In respect to world hunger, the Golden Temple in Punjab, India, provides free food to upwards of 100,000 people per day. Any person, regardless of faith, gender, or ethnicity, is welcome. What's most amazing, however, is that the entire operation is run by volunteers and donations. I'll tell you what, it's definitely good to hear some good news, because it's pretty easy to look at the news or other things like that, and it can feel like everything is falling apart. So it's always good to get some good news. I mean, we just read 25 good things that are going on. 25. And that's a lot. 25 is a lot. And there are other websites too. I remember I was looking through them, and one of the websites said that chimpanzees are learning how to dismantle poachers' traps. So, you know what that means. Obviously, they don't get trapped anymore. They know how to dismantle it. I think I didn't get a chance to read all of it, but I wasn't sure if it said that they got trapped and then knew how to get out, or they knew how to break them when they saw them without getting trapped. I hope that they don't get trapped, to be honest. But let me know what you guys think about the soft-spoken voice. I usually do everything in whisper because I know whisper is the way to go. I know that soft-spoken can be nice sometimes. It's a tricky line I try to walk, try to keep it subtle and not too loud. And then, yeah. And I'll tell you what, behind the scenes of being an ASMR artist, you don't realize how many sounds go on around you until you have to have perfect quiet when you want quiet, and you can't get it because there's always that little sound in the background. There's a dog barking, a plane flying over, a door being shut, something. But I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching.